I thought I would do this emergency update because Bitcoin has reached a critical level, and thought we would talk about it. So if you're new here, welcome. If you are joining me and already a subscriber, thank you. And not normal that I will do a weekend update. However, here I am because something is going on. So there's a few things that I want to talk about today. Before we get into it, just make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed, and turn that bell notification button on so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that we have talked about in the last video and do a little bit of an update as to where we are now. Now, the other thing too is if you're here and you're hearing me okay and everything is all good, just leave me a comment to let me know that you're around so that I know you can hear me. And I will get into it. So let me just have a look at what's going on. So we'll talk about Bitcoin first. Now, in the last, in the last update, we were talking about this level here, which was, let me just make sure you can see that on the screen. Yeah. So this level here is the wave one level that if we close below there, it's quite a critical level. We have wicked below there so far, and, the next current candle is quite bearish on the daily. We will go down to lower time frames to see what that's looking like in a minute, but I just want to talk about the daily first. So the first most important message is that we have to be wary that it's the weekend, and I'm always not trusting of weekend price action. If you think about it, there's a lot less volume in the books, which means that, with a lot lower volume, it's a lot easier for whales to manipulate price, potentially bring it down before a big rally. And how far down they bring it, we don't know. They could bring it down far enough until, it reaches a level of extreme fear and then send it the other way. So I have a rule that I don't make long-term decisions based off weekend price action. So even if we do break this trend line now, we'll talk about the bearish scenario first. Even if we do break this trend line now, 52,000 has always been my exit level, which I talked about in the last video. If we break this line now, I won't be exiting now, simply because it's a weekend. What always happens after you have a sell-off is there is always an attempted recovery before potential further continuation down. So if we do break this level, I'll be waiting for that recovery to see whether it's looking like it's a recovery that's going to remain bullish, or is it the last attempt before the actual market structure changes and we head into a bear market. Only at that point is where I'll make my decision to actually exit my Bitcoin positions. So with that in mind, even if we break 52K this weekend, that's not where I'm going to be exiting my portfolio. Now that we've got that out of the way, that's one thing to look for. Let's talk about this RSI. Now, I'm actually going to remove MACD because I don't really use it, but let's talk about this RSI quickly. Now, I have this little method that I use on the RSI that has always served me really quite well, and it's regardless of what price action is doing, and I call it a slow bleed. And a slow bleed is when we go from an overbought region and we slowly make lower highs all the way down into the oversold region. So currently that's tracking well. This is starting to look like a slow bleed. The longer that slow bleed is drawn out, the better, because usually what happens after a slow bleed is a parabolic straight up move like this that you can see here on the RSI. So currently it's looking like you can see here, this is a slow bleed, right? So slow bleed for a really long time, then a massive parabolic move. So that could potentially be about to repeat on the RSI. The bad news, however, is that we're not currently in that oversold region. So if this did turn out to be a slow bleed, we could potentially see more downside in the price action. So that's why I wanted to point it out, because I mean, again, it could create divergences and whatnot. We're not sure yet, but it's possible that price comes down further if this pattern does turn out to be a slow bleed. If that did happen, however, the good news is that it gets followed by a parabolic move. So it could mean that it breaks. I've got Sakura here behind me. It could mean that it breaks the trend line that we've currently got going on if something like this were to play out. So if I go back to price now. So if this slow bleed were to continue down, let me just stretch that out. It could mean that price breaks this trend line, and it could even potentially be that we get back to this region here before we get that parabolic move up. So I'm not sure at this stage. It's something that I'm just watching. However, for me personally, I'm not seeing through that retracement all the way back down to here if it happens. Definitely a break and a retest of this, and I'm kind of sitting out and waiting to see what happens next. Do you know what? Thank you, Brad. I'm a Capricorn, so I actually am a goat. But thank you for the compliment. So anyhow, that's one thing to watch on the RSI, and I do like that it's happening on the daily, because the longer that RSI is drawn out and slowly creates lower highs all the way down, the more parabolic the move will be after. Will it be parabolic enough to continue a bull market? That I don't know. I honestly did expect that we would be okay until at least mid-December, but we are really dancing on the critical line, and it really could be all over from now. However, again, it's weekend, so we have to be mindful of that. Now, slow bleed, big panic. Yes, and you know what? That's probably actually the idea, isn't it, for all of us to panic? So anyway, excuse me. Okay, so that's the RSI out the way on the daily. Now, let's have a look at the 4 hour and see if we've got an idea of anything going on here. So 4 hours looking super choppy. Now, a couple of people in the Discord were asking if the Elliott wave is invalidated now. In my opinion, it's not yet, because it is only a wick close below. It's probably going to be invalidated by the end of the day. If we can't hold this level here, so 52,700, if we can't hold that, then probably the Elliott wave will just dance on the line of being invalidated. But again, it comes very, very close to this trend line as well. So in an ideal world, what will happen now, being a weekend, is that we will do nothing. Like, we'll just do this for the rest of the weekend, come Monday, and then hopefully see some upside. That means we get the weekend off, right? So I had a few people messaging me today, and I was like, hey, this just means weekend off. So that's another thing to be mindful of, is that, we may just get boring from here. And then the other thing too to be mindful of is that if we draw this out here, I'm pretty sure we're still in the wedge formation. Yeah, we are. So we're still technically in the wedge formation. And what have we got? We've got 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we could recover, create potentially a double bottom, then a breakout to the upside would be best case scenario. So it's not definitely over. Yes, I do know that today is also an eclipse in a few hours, and this is the result of eclipse action. However, we still looking at technical analysis. We've got still some things to say that it may not be over yet, but it is looking not great. So we definitely, at this point where price is right now, we need to have an exit plan. And I've been sort of banging on about that for the last few weeks, really. But this is the time where it can come time to, it's probably going to be a good time to think about executing on that exit plan. So let's talk about the bullish scenario. So bullish scenario would be price settles here. We have a little bit of a recovery, come back, create either a higher low or a double bottom. If that were to happen, then it would be more expected that we would get a breakout to the upside come next week. So this sort of a thing, if this were to happen, would happen over the rest of this weekend. So that's the best case scenario that we can get. The bearish scenario would be that price just continues down here, fills out that wick there, retest the trend line, and then we're heading further down, which would be back down into this 42K region. Now, so 42K is the target if we break down. If we break up, we still have the same targets from the last video that we did. So I'll just draw that out quickly as well. In that, first of all, well, now we've got this as a new target. So this 38 level at around 58,300. That's now a very key resistance, which we didn't have before. Because we've broken down, it's a new one. We have to break up and above. And then we've got 6,500 was the level we were watching before. And then the last level, if we can get above, is going to be up here at around 63,000. So wouldn't consider us to be safe unless we could really get above that level. I'm not as hopeful anymore. But again, my mind may change when institutional traders come back in after the weekend and show us where they want to take price. So that's how I'm thinking about BTC. Now, what I wanted to show you, I don't like that last arrow. What I wanted to show you was this, which I was watching all morning, and this is why I decided to go live. So this site shows us the orders, and it may not come up now because this is live orders that are in the book. So it may not show now, but I'll do my best to show you what I was looking at. So during this dump, as we were, price was falling down, I jumped on this and I was having a look at the orders, and it shows you here like the orders underneath price, so underneath pushing price up, basically the buy orders, and then the orders above pushing price down. And you can pretty much just have a look at the difference and see like what level might price settle at, because there are buyers there waiting to, pick up some Bitcoin. So I was having a look at this, and it was really quite interesting because there weren't many orders in this. Shows a number of exchanges. There weren't many orders in many of the exchanges at all, certainly not the major ones, until I got to BitMEX. But before I do that, I just want to show you some things because I found this very interesting. So currently I'm on Binance Futures, and on Binance Futures, price got down here. If you guys can, might be hard, I'll spread it out to see if you guys can see the wick. The only trouble with this is sometimes it's hard to see everything, but in that fall, price on BitMEX got down to 50,600. Binance Futures. I'm only checking the leveraged exchanges. On BitMEX, price came down to 51,500. On FTX, price came down to 51,600. What else is there? OKEx came down to 51,400. And then the last one, Kraken, was quite surprising. Kraken actually came all the way down to 49,600, which is a concern because usually when you have one big drop in price and then you have a big wick up, there's liquidity left behind. And that means that whoever dumped the price down is going to come back to pick up the rest of those orders. Most of the time they do. So if that were to happen, this wick probably wicked up because the price was too quick. The movement in price was too quick. So if we come down to pick that up, it would be a much slower move, which aligns with that happening over the rest of the weekend. So when I said to you on this chart that this action here might take the whole weekend to happen, it's because they need that the slower version of buy orders to pick up all the liquidity that's left in here to get back down there. Now, the other thing is that this 49,500 level, that only happened on Kraken. So I'm not saying that we're going to go down to 49,500 on all exchanges. I'm just finding that to be a very interesting fact right now. But what was more interesting than that was actually BitMEX. At the time, now it may have calmed down now and it may not show me, but at the time, I'm going to make this super big and show you exactly what I was looking at. So if I spread this really big, you guys can see those numbers there. It's that what these numbers are showing me is the value of the orders at that price. And what I was watching was at 52,700 earlier today, right before this stream actually. This here where hopefully you guys can see that. I know it's super dark, but it's this level here where it's showing 9 million and it's flashing sometimes. Yeah, it flashes consistently because the orders are changing. But this was flashing between 11 million to 40 million, which is huge. And on BitMEX, this is done by USD value. So that's $40 million worth of orders. We're sitting around this 52,600 to 52,700 level. This is a very good point. It shows you how much the exchanges screw their clients on the spread they take. It certainly does. And it's also about, just the liquidity. It's easier to dump the price if there's not enough orders in a certain exchange. And that's why it's important to trade on exchanges that have high volume. So shameless plug for OKEx. They dance between the second and third when it comes to level of volume after Binance, although I don't know why anyone would still use Binance, so maybe that's changed since the last time I checked. But if you are looking for an exchange, check the description for a referral link to OKEx. I see here 27 million now. See how it flashed? And I won't go into a full detail of how to use this exchange, but that's what you're looking for. Those flashes there, they could be spoof orders as well. And that could be whales playing games. See how it just flashed 20 million? So it's either the orders are getting picked up and actually, those orders are getting filled, but sometimes it can be spoof orders. And that's why you don't really use this to place trades or to get an idea of where to place trades. You get it to understand how whales play the game. So you see how that flashed and then it just quickly went away. So there's a lot of games being played right now, which is good for us to, know to just sort of calm down and maybe stay out of the market. But it's also always a regular thing on BitMEX. Like you don't really see them the orders flash like this. I'm going to keep it up here so you guys can get actually watch what's happening. And I'm glad that this is still happening because I thought it might be over by now. I'll make it nice and big so you can watch. But this usually happens on BitMEX, which is a low volume exchange. So it just goes to show if there's less volume on the exchange, it's easier for whales to move the price. And it looks like that they're playing those games on BitMEX right now. So what do we do with that information, I suppose, is the more important question is, okay, we can see that the games are going on, but it's either games or it's accumulation. So are they genuinely picking up orders at around this 52,700 to 52,800 level? That's what we don't know right now. So what I would do personally is I would watch and make sure, watch your normal charts, see if this 52,700 level, which isn't it funny how that just magically lines up with the wave one peak, which is the lowest we can get for the Elliott wave to still be relevant. Watch and see if this level holds. If it does, then that is not trickery, that's accumulation at that level. So that's something that you could watch for over the next couple of days. It's also because of the way that that's going on, why I wouldn't be trying to pick the direction right now. literally just wait and see if we consolidate for a period of time. And yeah, we'll see how we go. So that's all I really wanted to say on Bitcoin. Let me just quickly see if there's anything in the chat to talk about. Fear and greed back to 25. I haven't checked that today, but that's interesting as well. 25 isn't enough fear, so we could come down lower than that. And okay, so let's have a quick look at Ethereum now. Ethereum, last I checked, was actually holding better. So we'll have a look at the daily first. And now this is an old chart, and we've got the Elliott wave levels marked out here. So far, again, we're respecting an Elliott wave with Ethereum, and it could just be that this area here, if I mark it out, is just an ABC correction. If we settle there, it'd just be a consolidating correction. So there's still hope for Ethereum. It really needs to hold above this 39.58 level, and it'll be fine. It didn't come down as far either with Bitcoin, so it is looking a little bit better. The RSI is not telling me anything really, other than this could potentially be not what you guys want to hear, but it could potentially be a bear flag. So we just need to be careful of that. But so far, as long as it holds above this 39.58-ish level, it's okay. It's okay. It's just ranging between two levels. I'll just bring this down here. So nothing really exciting to report on that. We just want to make sure it holds. The same rules apply with Bitcoin. So if it doesn't hold and we break, wrong thing, hold on, and we do break this, that would mean we'll also break the trend line. So a bit of a retest, would expect further continuation down, and probably looking at around, this level as one area, but also just depending on how bearish we get. And if we break that level, probably going to be pretty bearish, guys. But this is another level too. 1, 2, yeah, it would be likely that we come all the way. Again, this is all dependent on the stock market as well, right? If they can't get their shit together, they ruin it for all of us. But anyway, let's have a look now at ETH BTC. Now, this one was interesting because we're technically just at a double top, and it's still in somewhat of an ascending triangle formation, kind of like that sort of thing, with this little one fake out. So on a wider level, ETH BTC, it's expected that you would have rejection here, right? Because it's at a key level of resistance. So that's just business as usual. But what could happen now? So let's have a look at where price is now, and just draw a simple trend line from there. I don't normally like drawing trend lines when they're that, diagonal, when they're that kind of up. So I'm not really including this, but point being that, we do have higher highs and higher lows, and we don't have a break in that trend line, even though it's parabolic. So that's one thing to keep note. When we had this first push here, and then the sell-off here, we landed just above the 38. So if we now readjust that to here, we're sitting on the 38 now. So yeah, this could be it. We could settle here. Too early to tell. It's still bleeding. We haven't even started consolidating yet. But if we don't settle here, then I'll be looking at the bigger move for a fib level retracement. So I'll bring this back down here, and I'll be watching for this level here, number 1. So that happens to line up with the 38. There's actually quite a few levels, if this does retrace, where it would still be potentially okay. So here's 2, and then this would be probably the last level. Oh, well, they all line up with fib levels. Like, how magical is that? So yeah, just basically watching the fib levels then on all of these, should we pull back any further. Now, I wasn't going to show you this, but I think that I should because we've got some time. So I just wanted to quickly go through. Let's see, does this chart show it? Let me just, how far back does this go? This goes back to, oh yes, good, 2017. Okay, so let's have a quick look at this. Let's go to 2017. Yep, about there. Now, what I wanted to explain about this, which is something I think we need to be really careful of, and it's lining up with my feeling that December will be not necessarily the end of the bull market, but a very harsh correction. And that is that we all know that Bitcoin runs, then ETH runs, then alts run, then we die, right? Everybody knows that that's pretty much the general rule. What tends to happen is that, especially when we're looking at the ETH BTC chart, ETH BTC breaking out is the signal of us getting to the end before that final alt season, before it's over. So having a look at this here, this big push up here, that was when BTC was running with it back in 2017, right? So BTC and Ethereum, everything was running. Then BTC had its harsh pullback and ETH pulled back with it. And then this here was the final run. So ETH had a final push while Bitcoin didn't do anything. And then towards this last bit was the last 2 weeks of the alt season, and then it was all over. So the reason that I'm telling you that is because if we now look at now, this was ETH running with Bitcoin, right? Then we did a sell-off, and now ETH is running and Bitcoin's not running as much. So again, just be careful. Let's see if history repeats. But the fact that ETH BTC had a pretty big run this week is a little bit of a hint, again, that potentially the bull market is ending. And so I definitely think that right now is not the time to be buying new things. I think now is the time to be taking profits on what you already have. And again, I could be completely wrong, so you do you. But for me, I see things, I see opportunities, and I want to buy them, and I have to remind myself that that's against my rules. So for me, the buying is done, and now it's just about managing. But that's all I really wanted to talk about today. So again, if you like this video, if you got something out of it, please give me a like, hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It definitely helps me get these videos around the internet. I did say on my last video that I would start announcing the winners of the CryptoCase competition. So just a quick reminder on that, that in July this year, I invested $1,000 into 10 different coins, $100 each. And I am giving those coins away to 5 winners. So you will get 2 coins chosen at random. And because this is an emergency YouTube, I have not decided those winners yet, but I will start doing them from my next video. This here shows the coins that are in that portfolio. There was one that I switched out. Here, VET. So VET switched out in the end for Cake because it wasn't performing. But other than that, these are all of the coins that are in the case, and those were the purchase prices. So the faster we can, get those subscribers up, the better. But I am starting to give them away now. The goal was to get to 5,000 subscribers. I'm not there yet. However, I want to start giving them away because I want you guys to be able to cash out should I be correct and the potential end of the bull market is coming. I want you guys to be able to cash out with as much profit as possible. So I will be giving those away from the next video. And if you have not already entered that competition, just have a look at the description of this video when it's finished. And there is a link that tells you what to do other than, subscribing. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Yes, thank you, LD. Please hit the like button. Let me know if you enjoy these emergency updates when Bitcoin does, have a bit of a hissy fit. Let me know and I'll do more of them. Otherwise, I will see you guys soon. Have an amazing weekend, and don't forget, just be safe, don't panic. You know the levels. You know that if we break, there will be a last chance attempted recovery. That's the time to manage your portfolio and exit should you feel that the bull market is over. Again, don't make decisions on a weekend. Don't make decisions on weekend price action. We will be good come Monday. See you guys.